Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please make sure to drive carefully because of construction is still going on. And then when you walk, please do pay attention because a lot of debris around it. Please donate generously to keep the lights on in our masjid for operation and construction. Also, humble request, if you pledge on our fundraiser, please fulfill your pledge as soon as you can so that we can continue paying for construction, inshallah. Eid Potluck by IA Youth Committee at April 12, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. for ages 14 plus girls only. Please do register. Dindinos ages 5 through 9 years on April 19, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Shukur Easter Eid Potluck on April 14, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Ages 10 through 13 girls only, and this will be at Bethany Lakes Park. Summer camp registration is open. Register at mylnmasjid.com. Also, ASQN, our Quranic program, summer program, is on. Same thing, you have to go mylnmasjid.com to register, and this will run from June 3rd through July 4th. And ASQN has a 2 sessions, 4 to 5 p.m. and 5 to 6 p.m. We are hiring a summer camp teacher, which will run June 3rd to July 4th. So if you're interested, please do apply. And all the events, our flyers are on our wall, also in the TV. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على السلام حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال الله تعالى: واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدث بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد، وقال الله تعالى: ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. We start and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for letting us reach and complete another Ramadan. We praise and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opportunity to pray and worship Allah for 30 days straight. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for letting us complete a whole month of fasting. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity of doing good things, good deeds, like reading the Quran and praying the Taraweeh and giving sadaqah. And we should have this dua in our tongues. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. That this dua was made by no other than Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he went through so many tests by Allah. As a kid, he got thrown into a fire. And then later on, he was commanded to leave his wife and his newborn child in a desert with no food or water. And then he was commanded to sacrifice his son. But this is what earned him that nickname, that title, Khalilullah, the friend of Allah. And then after this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to build the Kaaba. The same Kaaba where now millions and millions of people flock to every single year. And after all of that, after he completed the building, the Kaaba, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said this dua, رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Because even after that, he was worried that his good deeds could be rejected. And my first point here I want to make is that we need to be worried that our deeds that we did in Ramadan may not be accepted. And that we need to be reading this dua frequently. And you guys might have saw on Eid, some people were saying Eid Mubarak, Eid Mubarak. But others were saying, Taqabbal Allah, may Allah accept. And so we need to consistently keep reading this dua. That's number one. Number two, Ramadan was a time for our detox. It was a time where we cut down on our food and our water and our desires. It was a time where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala closed the doors of evil and Jahannam. And that the shayateen, they were chained up and locked up. And the doors of Jannah were flung open. And the rewards of deeds were multiplied hundreds and thousands of times. So what did this do? It allowed even the worst possible Muslim to be a better Muslim. It allowed the Muslim who never prayed to start praying. It allowed the Muslim to finally dust off their cover of their Quran. So the point I'm trying to make is that Ramadan proved to us that each and every one of us can be a better Muslim. Ramadan proved to us that we have that potential. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the opportunity to actually start winning the race against shaitan. But now, when Ramadan has ended, we ask the question, what will happen? Is it righteousness to be good only, 1 month of the year? Has the Quran ever praised us to be righteous, just once? No. But actually, it's the opposite. The Quran only praises continuous good deeds. The Quran praises a lifestyle of righteousness, not just a one-off, but a consistent act of deeds. And so we look at what the Quran says. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ. That over here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the present tense, that they are always praying, they are always giving charity. يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ. They are establishing the salah. وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ. They are always giving, not just once, not just a one-off, consistently giving. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ دَائِمُونَ. They are always praying. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. They are always giving charity. Every one of us can go through a spurt of righteousness. And one day you'll feel good and you'll just pray once. But that's not what Islam is about. Islam is about a lifetime of ibadah. It is about a lifestyle of taqwa. It is a habitual relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I ask this question, my dear brothers and sisters, what is the next step after Ramadan? It is to try our best to be consistent. What does our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. That the most beloved of all good deeds to Allah, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ, the most beloved of all good deeds are, what did he say? The biggest? The ones that are most grand? The one with the big fireworks? The big bang? No. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَدْوَمُهَا, the ones that are most consistent, continuous, habitual, that you have incorporated them in your entire life. The most beloved of all your good deeds to Allah are the ones that you do day in and day out. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَإِن قَلَّ, even if they are small. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just doesn't want us to, be hyped for 1 month and that's it. No. He wants us to live a lifestyle of righteousness and taqwa, a lifestyle of persistence. And so let us make this past Ramadan something that actually could change our lives forever. Let me ask a question. Would any relationship, any marriage, any job last if there was a one-time productivity? Or that you show love to your wife, on the first day, and the rest of your marriage, the rest of your life is just cold? Or you go to work for the first week and you do amazing, but then after that, you start slacking and you don't do anything? Would that relationship last in this world with, only a one-time positive and the rest all negative? No. So if that was the case, that no relationships, no jobs, no marriage could last, if there was only a one-time action, then why do we think that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only a one-time relationship will be okay? Surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves more than any job, than any relationship, than any marriage, than any friendship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more deserving. So for anything, be consistent with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear brothers and sisters, don't be a Ramadan only Muslim. One of the scholars of the past, he said, Rabbu Ramadan is also the Rabb of Sha'ban and Shawwal. Meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the same God in Ramadan and Sha'ban and Shawwal. This does not change before or after Ramadan. The same 5 prayers, the same ibadah, the same taqwa is required throughout the year and not just for 1 month. And He does not change, so why should we change our relationship with Him? One of the scholars of the past, Bishr al-Hafi, a famous scholar, he was told of the existence of some Muslims that only worshipped Allah in Ramadan, and the rest of the year they stopped worshiping. And he heard about this. And imagine this was back then, and even now this happens. And he responded and he said, Bi'sa rajul, that what an evil person this is. He who only thinks of Allah and just in Ramadan. Allah gives you blessings throughout Ramadan. Allah gives your life and gives your wealth and gives your marriage and spouse and kids and all that you have throughout the year. So why do you wish to only thank Him for 1 month? Brothers and sisters, Ramadan introduced us to a fact that we know, a lifestyle that we learnt. Our own experience has taught us that we are sinners, that we feel terrible when we sin. We feel disgusted. None of us feel good after we sin. It is in our nature to feel disgusted. So in Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He removed those sins from us and He raised our bar. He raised our rank 10, 20, 50 times. And that every Muslim's rank in Ramadan went up. There's even a statistic that came out a couple years ago that they did a survey throughout the Muslim world, and that over 95% of Muslims that surveyed said they will fast in Ramadan. Subhanallah. This is the blessing of Ramadan. And wallahi, we know that, when Muslims, some of the Muslims that struggle, they will drink, they will fornicate, Muslims will, take drugs, womanize. But when it comes to Ramadan, subhanallah, they pause everything. And all of a sudden, they show this better side. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is showing you that you can do better. You can give up those sins. That you can pray 5 times a day. That was the whole point. That is the point of Ramadan, was to prove to ourselves that you can be a better person, a better Muslim. And in Ramadan, all of us, we raise our game 20, 30, 50 times more than usual. So now when Ramadan finishes, those who go back down to where they started, it will be as if the month was no use at all. If you go back to where you started before the month of Ramadan started, there was no benefit for your Ramadan. Let us be clear, and be real for a second. We're not going to be praying 2 hours every single night. We're not going to be fasting every single day now. We aren't going to have that same high level taqwa that we had. It's a sad reality, but it's a true reality. We aren't going to be able to worship at the same level as we did in Ramadan. But the goal is now that I have upped my game by 100 points. When Ramadan finishes, tayyib, I can't be at 100, but I go down maybe 10, 20, 30%. So you've raised the bar, you've climbed the ladder, but where you go down has to be higher than where you started before Ramadan. So my next point is, what can we do to make Ramadan benefit us even after? The first thing to do, and some of the scholars, they recommend this, is to try and erase 3 sins that you used to do all the time. Eliminate those major sins first. Alhamdulillah, during Ramadan, inshallah, you stop doing those sins. We stop doing those sins. Maybe it was drinking, fornicating, womanizing, the kaba'ir. Now 30 days have gone and you saw that you didn't do this and you stopped them and you actually became happier. So now, inshallah, stop them forever. Think of the worst things, the worst habits, and stop them. And even if shaitan whispers in your ear and causes you to slip and fall, don't make them habitual. Turn back towards Allah. Every single time he makes you fall, get back up and keep walking. Every single time he makes you slip and fall, get back up and keep walking. And do tawbah towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the next thing that we can do, the scholars they mention, is add 3 good deeds that you did in Ramadan and carry them forward now throughout the year. And the main thing that we can do, start with the kaba'ir, the good things, the big things. The main thing that we did in Ramadan was pray. Salah is so important. The difference between a Muslim and a person who is not a Muslim is our salah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-ahdu alladhi baynana wa baynahum as-salah, faman tarakaha faqad kafar. That the difference between a Muslim and a non-Muslim is the salah. The prayer for a Muslim is the foundation of a Muslim. For those who are praying already, let us add the sunnah, let us add the nawafil to our prayers. But again, start with the important ones. Another important one we did during Ramadan was reading a lot of Quran, tilawat of the Quran, continuous reading. We might have read 1 juz, 2 juz a day, maybe a couple pages, but don't stop now. That the heart becomes rusty and hard when we don't have this tilawat, this Quran, this recitation of the Quran. And the one way to clean it and to polish it is to read the Quran daily. It's our daily dosage. It's our breakfast for our soul. And we need this every single day. And another thing we also did was fasting. Obviously, we fasted 30 days. So now, inshallah, in your schedule, add fasting once a month, maybe once a week. Maybe go with the sunnah of fasting every Monday and Thursday. Make this something that you add in your schedule, that you put in your schedule. And now I ask you, imagine if we did this every single Ramadan, that we take away 3 sins, we completely eliminate them. And then we add 3 good things, and that we're persistent and consistent, and we did this. Imagine how we would look next year. Imagine how we would look in 5 years. Imagine how we would look in 10 years. Imagine all the way until we died, how much our rank would go up. And this is the ultimate goal of Ramadan, that when Ramadan comes, it will be better than the last year. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all that we did in Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our Ramadan effective and affect the rest of our months. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us reach the next month. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه فإنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Alhamdulillah. Before I end, I just want to mention something. And this something is about Eid. That, growing up, watching American movies, going to an American school, seeing your classmates, especially the non-Muslims, celebrate Christmas with all the decorations, all the lights, all the gifts, under the tree, coming in a week after school with new J's on, a new car, a new phone, and this excitement they had for Christmas. Growing up as a Muslim American, especially as a kid, you feel that. And you felt it a lot. And subhanAllah, when it comes to our masajid sometimes, and when it comes to our homes and our families, the kids don't get to celebrate Eid as a very fun holiday. It's a very boring holiday. And I know Eid has passed, and obviously Eid has passed. But I want to mention that if you did not do just for your kids, maybe if you're an older sibling, for your younger siblings, now is a time to do qada. make up for that. That let them have a fun Eid. Let them look towards Eid as something fun. And subhanAllah, just a small reflection, growing up in my masjid in Ohio, we had this one uncle. And, we were very envious of this uncle. Very this uncle did it right, man, mashallah. And what he would do is every single Eid, he would take his kids to a store. Obviously, as a kid, it was probably like Toys R Us. But growing up, he would take them to Best Buy, maybe Target, maybe Walmart. And he would say, here is $300. Go, you have 1 hour, take what you want and put it in your cart, and that is your Eid. Now imagine the kid's face, the joy he has, running around Walmart, trying to calculate how many gifts he can get, what he can get, whatever he wants. Imagine that joy. And so a reminder for me, myself, and for everyone, inshallah, especially if you're a parent, make sure that your kids are having fun on Eid. Maybe there's some festivals coming up this weekend. Take them to a nice dinner, take them to a theme park, whatever it is. Just let them have fun, inshallah ta'ala. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts and gives us tawfiq to act upon what was said today. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تسليما اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في فلسطين اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في فلسطين وفي كل مكان يا ذا الجلال والإكرام ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اذكروا الله يذكركم ودعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله. استغفر الله. استغفر الله. السلام. تبارك يا ذا الجلال. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له.